Hello everyone, welcome to a pretty momentous occasion. After pretty much 2 years, this is the last installment of the Lekkerner Hauptstück tutorials. Yep, this will be the last one. 2 years. Talk about doing a PhD in Messer, eh? Anyway, we will be working on winding against the crooked displacement. This is a pretty unique Messery take on the concept of winding, but this should not come as a surprise. The hanging guard is really the go-to solution for everything for a lot of people fencing with one-handed weapons. Someone makes a direct attack, hanging point parry. You want to attack someone with a feint, cut into a hanging point. Someone tries to grapple you, that's perfectly fine. Move into a hanging point to free your wrist. You get the idea. So if you perform a winding against someone, chances are that they'll respond by going into a hanging point to make sure your point goes away. And this is what I think Lekkerner means by the crooked displacement, or Krummversetzen. Thankfully, you can wind against this too. There's a few tricks that you can use to keep up your momentum and ensure it doesn't become a parry or post game again when someone defaults into a hanging point. Let's approach the mechanics first. The Stücke consist of a number of steps, and within these examples, every step constricts your opponent more and more. Let's start with the windings. They work on both sides, as we've done them for the last tutorial. I found that this works best when someone uses a crooked displacement against your closed winding. So when that has happened, we find ourselves in the beginning position for all the pieces from this chapter. The essence of all these pieces is to first use your long edge to apply a pressure that the hanging point can't really deal with. Very similar to a closed winding, but then usually more in the lower hanging. If your partner does nothing at this point, you should be able to press your long edge into them, either their head or their upper arm or their neck. The only way to go for them at that point is upwards, but that is not going to save them, because you can again wind to an open winding and go around. This is where all the countless variations come in. You can follow this up by changing through and thrusting low, hitting above on their head with a short edge, or going for a grapple. Ultimately though, let's stick to the basic concept and get this properly trained. It's all too easy to get distracted when reading Lekkerner after all. So here the biggest thing would be to make sure the coach behaves as a fencer would naturally. So that means that they try to use the crooked displacement for a reason. Let's in this case assume that they go and try a riposte from above. So this puts special emphasis on using the winding timely, without overcommitment. Otherwise you'll just get hit. Again, I don't think that is a new concept, but your margins for error are quite critical in this instance. So do it like this. The coach starts by cutting at the student from above, who makes a winding against it. The coach then responds to this winding with a crooked displacement, and in that same moment as the crooked displacement takes place, the student should try to wind against it as we've practiced. And the coach now has the choice of either letting himself be hit, congratulating their partner on a technique well done, or to try and go around and cut at the student. In that latter case, the student should be in a good position to simply parry the incoming cut and wind again to hit their coach. If this does not happen, that's a very clear indication that the student is probably overextended or does not have the winding where it should be. So that's a very clear indication for you as a coach to start workshopping this with your student and getting them to get the winding first right and then the winding against the crooked displacement. I think this will take a lot of repetition, but I think it's worth it considering how common the crooked displacement is once you know what to look for. Having myself practiced this quite a lot lately, I also found that the just generally difficult winding counters, such as the slice from above, occur more naturally for me now. It follows quite regularly from winding against both a normal and a crooked displacement, as the mechanics are pretty similar. And having that faith that most of what will happen can be solved with a winding is crucial for approaching the entire winding game with the casual pizzazz that winding successfully requires. If you can muster this confidence, most often associated with a white-haired Maine Coon cat, you'll be able to utterly control your opponent. And I think this is why Lekkerner emphasizes it so much and gives us this addition to keep anyone who tries to displace crookedly in that winding game, allowing you to still be in control. Alright, have fun with this. I won't be saying until the next one, as this is the last Hauptstück tutorial, but please let me know in the comments what sort of monthly tutorial series you would like me to take on next. I have a couple of ideas, but do let me know. I'm open to your inspiration as well. Anyway, until soon.